Ghana National Association of Private Schools is planning to take legal action against government over what they describe as discriminatory and uneven distribution of students under the senior high school computer placement system. The association observed the 30% priority allocation of grade A senior high school admissions to public schools is a disadvantage to students in the private junior high schools.
We have used many avenues of trying to persuade government, the policy makers, to do away with this discriminatory policy of 30% priority placement into category A schools for public schools. So it's reached a level where we indeed need to test the law and see how we can get the issue addressed. You see, every student moving from the basic to the senior high level wants to enter the best school. So if they know that when they go to a private school, their chances of entering a category A school will be reduced by 30%. That's a problem. So they get to junior high school, Form 1 or Form 2, and they leave the private and go to the public. Whereas they believe if they were in the private sector, they don't get that opportunity of getting to those category A schools. So there's an attrition, a movement from our private schools in the JHS to the public sector.
These concerns were raised at the launch of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools Week in Kumasi. Reacting to the issue, Deputy Minister of Education, Reverend John Intim Fojo, called for more collaboration with the association to have its concerns addressed.
The future of our children is in the hands of all of us. That we will take the collective efforts of both public and private to ensure that we have a population that is highly educated, that we have our human capital index increased to very satisfactory levels. We are always open to you to receive your ideas and to listen to you. So you must be assured that the concerns that we have raised here are concerns that are already being discussed between the ministry and your leadership, and in due course solutions will be found to them. That as we recognize some challenges facing the private sector, that we all are collaborating to seek ideas and solutions to save, we must be circumspect in the way that we diagnose matters. The impression must not be created that there is any discrimination of a sort.
So joining us is the Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Schools, Inokwesi JHS, has joined us on Zoom to help us understand the current situations of the private schools in relation to the school placement system. JHS, thank you for your time with us on the program. You have serious concerns that you want government to address on the placement systems. Walk us through a couple of them.
Thank you very much, my brother, and good afternoon to your viewers this afternoon. If you have realized that since 2016 coming, private schools have been on the front line in terms of complaining against the government policies that have been seen as a menace to the progress and the development of private education. One of it is what you have just heard with your listeners this afternoon. I was not aware that government will want to introduce what we call a 30% of category A schools allocation to the public schools. Even though we are one of the major stakeholders in the private schools, or let me say in education, but when government was about to roll out this policy, government failed to consult us. As you speak now, the major issue confronting the private schools has to do with the parents moving their children from the category A schools, from the private schools to the category A schools, all because they will not be able to get the schools that they want to attend when they complete in the private schools. And that has become a challenge for the private schools as we speak now. In view of that, most of the private schools have decided not to run JHS 3 in their various schools, because the moment the students get to Form 2, parents prefer let's say, taking their children from the private schools and join their colleagues in the public schools, all because there has been a 30% allocation, which is discriminatory against the private schools. And even in the face of the law, it is even in contradiction to the Article 25+1 that says that there should be an equal opportunity in terms of infrastructure and programs in educational provisions to every child in Ghana. And even with respect to the Children's Act, Section 3 is equivocally against such, let's say, move that the government has done. Our issue is that if government want to even improve standards in the schools, in the public schools, they should have even, let's say, learned from the private schools. The best way we go by training these children, or let's say, providing holistic education to these children, so that by the end of the day, the children will not be seen that they are just going to the category A schools on a basis of, let's say, not a silver, on a silver platter.
Okay, right.
And
it brings me
like that.
Okay, it brings me to my next question about the levels of engagement you've had with government and what have been the outcomes of such discussions. What is the way forward? What are we looking at?
The private to the Ministry of Education, which the Daily Guide or Daily Graphic even published it. And based on that, the minister by then, that is Honorable Metio Poku Prempe, invited us for us to have a discussion. We were very clear in our minds that the minister has accepted the kind of challenges that the private schools are going through and the concerns that we raised us at that time, and promised us that that kind of categorization or allocation given to the public schools would be immediately removed from the school placement system. But let's say, witnessed that the last placement that we just had, 2021-2022 placement, the ministry went ahead to implement such, let's say, provisions that is being given to the public schools.
Okay.
On that note, we have written to the ministry to have an engagement with them, of which we have not received any response on that. And we all, I mean, if I say we all the private schools, associations, the councils, and all other unions have collectively agreed that we will pursue this at the law courts to ensure that fairness and transparency are restored in our education system.